My abstractions are amazing, my patterns are so clean, but my app keeps on crashing and nothing works as it seems. Got my little int variable compensating with complex code, 15 layers of abstraction till the whole thing just explodes. I rewrote it all in Rust because safety is a must. Now it takes 10 years to build and my users in disgust. Functional programming is pure, no side effects, that's for sure. But my RAM usage is high, the latency to the sky. Made a simple blog in React with 20,000 deps. It only takes 3 minutes for a single page to fetch. Trained an AI model to predict what users need. Now it hallucinates features that make the whole app bleed. Could have done it all in basic HTML with some vanilla JavaScript. But my ego needed feeding. Now I'm stuck and bleeding. My abstractions are amazing. My abstractions are amazing. My patterns are so clean, but my app keeps on crashing and nothing works as it seems. HTML with some vanilla JavaScript. But my ego needed feeding. Now I'm stuck and bleeding. My abstractions are amazing. My abstractions are amazing. My patterns are so clean, but my app keeps on crashing and nothing works as it seems.
Almost ready, folks. Just need a minute.
Yo, I'm the code queen, Silicon Supreme. Your front-end framework's just a broken dream. React Next.js, you think you're so slick, but your components are weak like your GitHub commit. Wouldn't give my number if prod was at stake. Your deployment pipeline's as fake as your take. You can't handle me one way or another. Your code is so disgusting, wouldn't even say hi to your brother. Your React site got funded by investors, bunch of suckers. Your future full of entire refactors. Your React site crashed on site. My vanilla code shines bright. No digits for you tonight. Code like a girl, crush your whole world. Your tech stack's a joke, your coding skills broke. Try to get my number, I return 404. You glorified plumber, just a code 304. Haskell functional, more like dysfunctional. Your pure functions are pure assumptions. You use Rust like it's peak, but still leak that heap. Your pants scream junior dev, you're a script kiddie cheat. Tech streamers got your brain hallucinating, while your code's as shallow as your GitHub rating. You watch the primer gen thinking you're so cool, but your Vim config's your only tool. Your Docker containers are like your game, empty inside and nobody to blame. You flex those stars like they mean something, but your 4 count shows you ain't done nothing. Your Vim skills are like your bedroom game. Lots of fingers moving, but it's all the same. WQ is all you know how to do, while I'm here with macros, leaving you blue. Your muscle memory's stuck on HJKL. You code like you're dating life, going straight to hell. Code like a girl, crush your whole world. Your tech stack's a joke, your coding skills broke. Try to get my number, I return 404. You glorified plumber, just a code 304.
Hello. Hello, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. This one will be a short one, but we will cover one or two topics for the day. I can't stay too long. I have work I got to get to, but we'll see what shakes loose. I have a juicy one. I have a good juicy one that we'll start off with. We'll at least get this one thing covered, and then we'll move on to maybe one or two if I have the time. Okay, I think I'm all set up. Just a second. Is this ready to go? That's ready to go. Okay. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, Laughing Panda. Hey, Ross. Hey, Jodem. Good to see you. Hey, Laughly. Hey, Adoraz. You crazy, crazy man. And everybody who might be watching on X or Rumble or TikTok or YouTube or wherever you're watching, welcome in. I hope you're all having a great day. Let's get to it, shall we? What are the news items for the day? Okay, here we go. This is a good one. This is a good one. AI models hallucinate, and doctors are okay with that. Do I need to say anything more? Do I? News over, right? I think we're done. I think we're good, right? When you go, what is this world coming to? I just don't. I can't, guys. I can't do the news anymore. I'm sorry. I think this is it. I think I've lost all faith in humanity. I think it's over. You can't even trust. Okay, let's read it. Eggheads call for comprehensive rules to govern machine learning in medical settings. The tendency of AI models to hallucinate, aka confidently making stuff up, isn't sufficient to disqualify them from use in healthcare settings. So, researchers have set out to enumerate the risks and formulate a plan to do no harm while still allowing medical professionals to consult with unreliable software assistants. Fantastic. No less than 25 technology and medical experts from respected academic and healthcare organizations, not to mention a web search ad giant, MIT, Harvard Medical School, University of Washington, Carnegie Mellon University, Seoul National University Hospital, Google, Columbia University, and Johns Hopkins University, have taken it upon themselves to catalog and analyze medical hallucinations in mainstream foundation models, with an eye toward formulating better rules for working with AI in healthcare settings. Their work, published in a preprint paper titled Medical Hallucinations in Foundation Models and Their Impact on Healthcare, and in a supporting GitHub repository, argues that harm mitigation strategies need to be developed. Why do they need to be developed? The authors start from the premise that foundation models, huge neural networks trained on a ton of people's work and other data from the likes of Anthropic, Google, Meta, and OpenAI, present significant opportunities from enhancing clinical decision support to transforming medical research and improving healthcare quality and safety. That sounds great so far. And given that starting point and the affiliation of at least one researcher with a major AI vendor, it's perhaps unsurprising that the burn it with fire scenario is not considered. So there we go, right? There we go. You've got a major AI researcher, and the concept that maybe we should not be doing these things is therefore not considered, because why would it be considered? It removes business, right? Rather, the authors set out to create a taxonomy of medical hallucination, which differs, they claim, from erroneous AI answers in less consequential contexts. Medical hallucinations exhibit two distinct features compared to their general purpose counterparts, the authors explain. First, they arise within specialized tasks, such as diagnostic reasoning, therapeutic planning, or interpretation of laboratory findings, where inaccuracies have immediate implications for patient care. Second, these hallucinations frequently use domain-specific terms and appear to present coherent logic, which can make them difficult to recognize without expert scrutiny. The taxonomy rendered visually in the paper as a pie chart includes factual errors, outdated references, spurious correlations, fabricated sources or guidelines, and incomplete chains of reasoning. Fantastic. The authors also looked at the frequency with which such hallucinations appear. Among various different tests, the Boffins evaluated the clinical reasoning abilities of 5 general-purpose LLMs: O1, Gemini 2 Flash, Geppetto 4, Gemini 1.5 Flash, and Claude 3.5 Sonnet on 3 targeted tasks: ordering events chronologically, lab data interpretation, and differential diagnosis generation, the process of assessing symptoms and exploring possible diagnoses. Models were rated on a scale of no risk to catastrophic. The results were not great, though some models fared better than others. Diagnosis prediction consistently exhibited the lowest overall hallucination rates across all models, ranging from 0% to 22%. Hey, that's pretty good, the paper says. Conversely, tasks demanding precise factual recall and temporal integration, chronological ordering, and lab data understanding presented significantly higher hallucination frequencies. The findings, the authors say, challenge the assumption that diagnostic tasks require complex inference that LLMs are less able to handle. Instead, our results suggest that current LLM architectures may possess a relative strength in pattern recognition and diagnostic inference of medical case reports, but struggle with more fundamental tasks of accurately extracting and synthesizing detailed factual and temporal information directly from clinical text, they explain. Can you imagine that? A machine that can accurately break down data that you feed it into patterns that it can repeatedly see versus a machine that can reasonably and creatively come up with a translation of data you give it. Like, what does this data mean in terms of, like, other contextual answers that we need out of this data. It's one thing to give an LLM a bunch of data and say, are there patterns here and what are the patterns? You could even do that with like a Python script in your mom's garage. But to ask an LLM to present to you a reasonable, like logical series of translations of that data is a whole other ballpark. And no kidding, it fails. Among the general-purpose models, Anthropic's Claude 3.5 and OpenAI's O1 had the lowest hallucination rates in the 3 tested tasks. These findings, the researchers argue, suggest high-performing models show promise for diagnostic inference, but the continued occurrence of risk errors rated significant or considerable means even the best-performing models have to be carefully monitored for clinical tasks and have a human in the loop. No one's job is getting lost there, huh? The researchers also conducted a survey of 75 medical practitioners about their use of AI tools, and there's no going back, it seems. 40 used these tools daily, 9 used them several times per week, 13 used them a few times a month, and 13 reported rare or no usage. 40 used these tools daily. 40 medical practitioners used AI tools daily. Adding that 30 respondents expressed high levels of trust in AI model output. Oh, God, it's so over. I can't. That lack of skepticism from 40% of the survey participants is all the more surprising, considering that 91.8% have encountered medical hallucination in their clinical practice, and that 84.7% have considered that hallucination they have experienced could potentially affect patient health. Hang on. Not only do these doctors know that the AI model hallucinated something, and that it could have impacted patient health, but then these doctors went on to say, I love AI. Oh, God. We're left to wonder whether newly hired medical personnel would be afforded an error rate to match that of the hallucinating AI models. That is a banger point. Replace an AI machine with a new medical professional. If 91.8% of the time they were good, but the rest of the time they were bad, or 84% of the time they were good and the rest of the time they were bad. So maybe let's split it down the middle. Let's say 87% of the time they were good, and then the remaining 13% they were bad. Would they get fired over that because, say, a patient died? Would you hold a human being to the same standards that you don't seem to hold AI, and yet give the same responsibility to AI or the same level of trust even? The researchers conclude by emphasizing that regulations are urgently needed and that legal liability for errors need to be clarified. If an AI model outputs misleading diagnostic information, questions arise as to whether liability should fall on the AI developer for potential shortcomings in training data, the healthcare provider for over-reliance on opaque outputs, or the institution for inadequate oversight. So this is exactly the thing we were talking about yesterday, which is when you have an AI system that is capable of replicating itself and creating a bunch of compromising code, and you want to use it to do things like cheat or otherwise lie, who becomes responsible when AI gets out of control? Because a person could prompt an LLM to do something quite nefarious and then or even do so by accident. Then who's responsible for what the AI does? You can wash your hands of it. It's like handing kids extremely dangerous things, and then when it inevitably goes wrong, I didn't tell the kid to do X, Y, or Z. I just gave them a thing and they played with it, and then something bad happened. Who's at fault? And now we're talking about we're talking about things that absolutely do affect patient healthcare. So that's you or me or somebody you care about. So there's this one. I thought that was pretty depressing, so I thought I'd share it with you all. Why should I be the only one depressed by the state of the world? I think doctors will use it no matter what, but if it's regulated, I guess it's better. I guess. Sure, doctor, do the heart transplant. If Geppetto thinks it's reasonable, I can't argue with that. It's a computer after all, right? Yeah, it's all ogre. If the GPS tells you to drive off a cliff, do you sue Garmin? Yeah. Yeah. Obligatory attack on President. Yeah, you have to. You're obliged to attack President Trump at the end. It's required. Let's just read it, to be fair. Given the Trump administration's rollback of Biden-era AI safety rules, the researchers call for ethical guidelines and robust frameworks to ensure patient safety and accountability may not be answered on a federal level. Okay, I actually don't know much about this, so I don't really have a comment there, but sure. But even without this, like, you could just imagine that this, who cares about the politics for a moment? Like, just imagine this doesn't exist. This still is damning in and of itself, that doctors know that they have encountered incorrect diagnoses or incorrect suggestions. The LLM has given them a confident answer as to what should or should not happen, and these doctors recognize that. Thank goodness. How many do they not recognize, by the way? I don't think you can tell that. It would be an extremely difficult number to quantify. How many times has an LLM told you something that you could not prove was a hallucination, or you didn't know was a hallucination? No idea. Right? Anyway, hallucination is loaded language as well. Well, I mean, is it? It sounds more soft than error. I mean, I think they are pretty clear about what hallucination means. It would be like it comes up with a false answer and it tells you confidently, right? Confidently making stuff up. Delusion would be more appropriate. Yeah, delusion. Yeah. Yeah. I would agree that a harsher term would actually be more appropriate. I agree. You need something that something like lying, but even lying is an anthropomorphic term, right? Um, it's not really lying. It's literally telling you something that is false or untrue, and it does not it cannot discern the difference between something that is real and not real, right? So something that you have to have a harsher word for that. But yeah. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next one. Just because I don't have a lot of time. So Rust lovers, all you Rust lovers out there are going to like this one. So essentially, this is on a Ubuntu, like I guess forum post of some kind, and they have made it clear that they are going to start replacing some of the what was it? I think it's some of the core utilities. The GNU core utilities are the basic file, shell, and text manipulation utilities of the GNU operating system. These are the core utilities which are expected to exist on every operating system. And so what they're talking about is Rust. The Rust language, its type system, and its borrow checker and its community work together to encourage developers to write safe, sound, and resilient software. With added safety comes an increase in security guarantees, and with an increase in security comes an increase in overall reliance of the system. And where better to start than with the foundational tools that build the distribution. So he goes on to talk about like long-term support, other people have done it, etc., etc. And so they've come up with this thing called Oxidizer, and what it will do is it will begin replacing Unix utilities with Rust-based alternatives on Ubuntu. Now, between you and I, this makes Ubuntu absolutely disgusting. It is now at the same level as, like, I don't know, something putrid and absolutely horrifying. Uh, I'm a bit exaggerating. I just don't like Rust, and I don't think this will end well. That's just my personal opinion. I could be way off, but I just don't think this is going to work out very well. So, but I guess you're going to be seeing a lot more of Rust if you're using Ubuntu. So there you have it for all you crab lovers. And then I'll tackle a couple small ones. This one's kind of a cool one. Android 16 may get a built-in Linux terminal. That would be really, really cool. There's an experimental desktop mode from Android 15, which I saw using the, it's kind of like a forward from Samsung Dex, which I used to have. And then there's also like Termux, which you can have on Android. But the idea of having it in line within Android means that you don't have to do like weird rooting stuff, right? So that could be very cool. That was kind of like that was kind of a positive thing to see. And then did I have one more? Let me see here. Oh yeah, okay. One more. This one. So Meta or Facebook put out a warning of a security flaw in FreeType, which allowed remote code execution. So if you don't know what FreeType is essentially font stuff, like font rendering. There we go. Open source software library that renders fonts, right? And so I guess there was an issue with it being able to. It can be triggered when attempting to parse font subglyph structures related to TrueType GX and variable font files. The vulnerable code assigns a signed short value to an unsigned long, and then adds a static value, causing it to wrap around and allocate too small of a heap buffer. The code then writes up to 6 signed long integers out of bounds relative to this buffer. So I guess be careful out there if you're using free type. Watch out for that. That's huge because tons of people use free type. So the idea that it can be allowed for remote code execution is it's pretty crazy. Yeah. So there you go. Does it say which version it's fixed in? It affects versions 2.13.0 and older. But for a fix to tackle, they should upgrade to 2.13.3. The first clean version is 2.13.1. There you go. Okay, that's all I got. That's all the time I have today. It's a short one, but I thought those were good ones to cover. Let me just catch up on chat. Yeah, personifying the LLM, yeah. Man replaces with modern, I know. More and more I see people describe things as modern as if to say that automatically makes it better. That's what I think, that's part of the problem that I think Rust has. Its messaging is not really an issue because like it's not really the messaging that's the issue to me. It's the fact that is the messaging. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but if you have people who like evangelize that kind of messaging, don't worry, everything's going to be okay, etc., etc. Those are the kind of people that I tend to stay away from, and they tend to tank themselves because they overpromise and they don't actually know what they're talking about. That's almost always the case. So I don't trust Rust because of the people behind it, and the people who evangelize it do not give me trust. They want me to trust them. And then at the end of the day, so many Rust packages you drop into unsafe mode anyways. It's like, I just don't get it. I use Termux when I don't have access to a PC. Yeah, me too, Adaraz. Yeah, I really like Termux. It's quite well. Pac-Man, I laughingly randomly dropping in Pac-Man commands. It compiles it safe BS. Yeah, good. You're on. Perfect. You guys are safe. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I know it was a genuine mistake. I know. I think that's it. I think that's all I got time for. Unfortunately, I have to go. I've got some work I got to tackle. If I can, I might do a double run today. Maybe. It depends on how much work I do. But worst case, I'll be on tomorrow with some more news. And yeah, we'll just keep going. So that's it. Very, very short. I appreciate everyone being here. I gotta go. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your night. If you're working, have a good day at work. All that good stuff. Thanks for being here, even for a short stream. I really appreciate all of you guys. It's awesome to have you all here. If you like what I'm doing here and you want me to do more of it, make sure you do the like and the subscribe and reshare and all of that stuff. Help me expand the reach and grow what I'm doing. Hopefully it's worthwhile for all of you. So yeah. Okay. Peace out, everyone. I gotta go.